Well, thanks, Veronica. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I know we've been friends for a really long time, so thanks for coming, taking some time out of your day to do this. But just for other people that don't know who you are, I guess, just to start us out, um, where'd you grow up? Where are you from? And I guess back then, what first started getting you like inspired into art, or what was your first like inkling into artistry?
Great. Yeah. So I grew up in Orlando, Florida. My mom worked at Disney
Mm,
and she worked there for 40 years. So growing up, I
that's
guess was
right.
around a lot of theme parks. My dad also worked there. But as an only child, I had a lot of free time and I was very creative and supported in being creative. My parents are artists. They would take me to flea markets and art shows and it was really cool. And then I went into the military, and when I got out, I really used art as like a way of healing. So it really pushed me further into it.
Yeah, for sure. After the military and you kind of got deeper into art, is that when you started realizing that maybe art could be like a career for you or something that could sustain you, more full time?
Yeah, so for a while it was just a passion project, and after I got out of the military, I went to school for nursing. It was very
Hmm.
stressful, and people's lives depended on me.
Yeah,
And I was also realized that it was an unhealthy work environment spiritually, emotionally. They just run you ragged, and
it's a
there's
lot.
a lot of room for error. And people really want one on one care, and you have to work quick. And it just didn't align with my values. And at the same time, I was also painting for fun on the side,
Hmm.
and it felt really good. It was a good, healthy escape. And so there was just at some point I was like, what do I want to do in this world? Do I want to make art and have meaning, or do I want to work in a toxic field where I'm giving people drugs all day? Am I making somebody's life better or worse?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then I was like, fuck this. I don't want to be a nurse anymore. I want to be an artist. And then I just devoted like full time artist. And that was like 2012 is
2012,
when I
okay.
jumped into that. Is also I was a nurse for a little bit, and then I did ayahuasca
Okay.
about 3 months in, and that really was like, whoa, what the fuck am I doing here?
Kind of changed your perspective a little bit
Yeah,
about being
totally.
in the medical industry.
I was like,
Yeah.
this is toxic shit. Why do I keep choosing shit? Why did I
Yeah.
choose awesome instead? So I went artist, but it's not always awesome because
It can be hard work too. It is
it's
still
very
a
hard.
job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So in that 2012, era, what was the first project that you took on that maybe made you feel like a real artist? Like, yeah.
Well, I was working at the hostel in the forest,
Oh yeah,
the
okay,
Treehouse
yeah.
Hostel in
How
Georgia.
we
For those of you who
met.
don't, that's how
Yeah.
we met.
Wonderful place. Yeah.
And I was the artist in residence, I guess. And so I
Yeah.
had free reign. I got to paint a bunch of murals there, and it was really fun. And then I came back to Orlando. I painted a mural at the community center off of Thornton Avenue in exchange for free crystal bowl meditations for life.
Whoa, okay.
I still go. I'm actually going tomorrow,
I was
but
gonna say
yeah,
Thornton Park, that's like right
yeah,
down. Yeah,
it's
okay.
still there. But
Awesome,
it's like
okay.
it's not my best work. I look at every time I walk in. I'm like, ugh, you know, because you've grown and
I
changed
mean, you
in
say that
14
was
years.
2012?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
14 years ago.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
it's a younger version of myself I'm
It's a
looking at
good
every
like
time.
touching back,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So it was there. And then um, I was just really passionate about art and started really following Cosm
Mm.
and, getting involved, trying to get involved in any kind of classes they had going on. And so,
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Cosm is a place in New York owned and operated by Alex and Allison Gray. A wonderful place for, I guess, it's not necessarily exclusionary visionary art, but there is a lot of visionary art there. Amazing visionary artists. Um, so speaking of that, like that type of industry, a bigger platform, like how did you get your first? And for those that don't know, the unique situation about you specifically is you've had the unique opportunity to work for major music festivals like Okeechobee, Electric Forest, Hulaween, but you've also like done stuff at Universal, Disney, major theme parks. So, what was kind of your first foray and like way into those type of like realms? It kind of seems like this Imagineer, universal creative access thing that kind of seems like inaccessible for most people,
Very true. I didn't even know those jobs really existed. And but then it makes sense. Like, of course, your theme parks, there's constantly stuff being built and being themed, but you don't really hear about that being an option. And it wasn't until maybe 2016, going back to plant medicine, but I was at an ayahuasca ceremony, and the couple next to me, when you're in ceremony, you eventually talk to the people that are there next to you, and you bond, and because you went through this big thing together. And so I asked the lady, her name is Renee,
Mm.
like, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I work at the theme parks. I'm a scenic painter. And I was like, whoa, what is that? And she's like, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend you get into it right now because it's pretty intense, but that's what I do. And I was like, whoa, I got to hear more. And so I just kept bumping into her at different events and ceremonies and asking her. And then eventually they were building the Fast and Furious ride and they needed a bunch of people. And so she was out of the field at that point, but they called up Renee, like, hey, can you recommend anybody? And she's like, well, actually, I have this friend who's a good artist. And meanwhile, I had a good portfolio that I could show, but I didn't have any scenic theming kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they could tell I could paint based off of other things. So that was helpful. And I had a good, recommendation from somebody.
Yeah.
And so that got me in. And then I learned kind of on the job.
Yeah, on the job.
And in 2017 for Fast and Furious. And it was pretty cool, but basically we had to make everything look like San Francisco, but like from the 1800s. So we had to learn how to age something exactly like 100 something years. And it was actually voted the worst ride in Universal.
I remember that. Yeah, for sure.
I don't even know if it's still there, but
yeah,
I worked really hard on that thing.
A lot of people did, man, and just sometimes that's just how it all comes together. You put, you have all these great ingredients, and you put them all together, and sometimes it just doesn't come out quite exactly
like,
how
shit,
you.
I worked on that.
They're gonna be trying to doing some more stuff, and they're doing a new ride and stuff like that. But
okay.
Wow. Okay. So that's pretty good. It's a very interesting ride, yeah, for sure. So what kind of so you don't necessarily have a typical build season for what you do, so working in that type of industry, I know that it can sometimes be on and off, hot or cold. So what have you done in your life to try to make that work for you? And
great question. So I like, there's seasonal gigs, the festivals that you kind of tap into and you're like, I want to work that again. And you kind of plan for it every year and you kind of block out different chunks. And in between maybe seasonal festival stuff, since I'm in the theming world and I've worked at various different shops, because kind of once you get into one, it's easy to plug in other ones and then you meet friends there that have connections to other ones. So it's like once you get in, you're just kind of like mycelium and you can kind of access a bunch of different things, which is really cool. So I did that a bunch of times, worked for different companies, and they also know that I do other festival work. And so I'm right up front, I'm like, hey, I can only work for like a month and a half, 2 months. And I also know myself, and if I work any longer than that, I'm going to get burnt out.
Yeah,
so I also got to pace myself because like festival work, they work your ass hard. 13 to 15 hours a day, no days off.
Yeah.
And you're just expected to just go. And it could really drain you and you got to prepare yourself. So I also prepare a lot of rest time before and after time and then not back it up with something else right away or else I'm just going to get burnt out. So I really over the years I've kind of carefully crafted and I know my body and how I'm in my 40s. A lot of the people at these festivals are in their 20s. So of course they can fucking work all day, but I got to pace myself now. And
work all day, party all night. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's tricky with the theme park stuff because sometimes you start off 2 years ahead of time, but then at the very end, it's crunch time and you go hard for long hours and they move you to overnight shift and that shit. Really mentally, it's not good for me. So I try to not do that. But if you're young, you can kind of get away with it. But I got to listen to my body. Also, schedule time for rest and fun. It can't always but even though you're at a festival, you don't always have fun sometimes at the end of the working really hard up to a festival, when the festival happens, you just want to sleep.
Just relax, yeah. Just have some time off for a second. I know
Yeah.
that there definitely was times where me and or my boss at Insomniac, we were just sleeping under our desk, during the show, and the team would go out and check all the art, and you'd just be kind of sleeping under your desk in the metal containers, doom, doom, doom. You're just waiting for your radio to kind of go off. You have an alarm set, get up, do some checks, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I definitely find that challenge. It's interesting you brought that up about the festival industry and theme park industry have such contrasting ways of work where you have Thursday the 30th is gates at 1 o'clock, and there really is no moving that. Maybe you can push it for an hour, but you need to be done. Whether you need to work for 40 hours straight to get to that deadline, that's what needs to be done. Whether it's safe or unsafe or not, that needs to be done. And that's extremely frustrating. It's tough on you mentally, physically, emotionally. Whereas sometimes the theme park, it's kind of like, hey, we're really amped. We need to get this done. We want to paint this yellow. And it's like, well, slow down. We're actually going to talk about this color for the next 3 days. Then we'll get into it. Then we'll test it out. Then we'll talk about the product and the way we're going to apply the yellow. And it's like, wow, I could have been done with this a long time ago. So what would you say is, your biggest challenge or the biggest, um, the craziest problem you've had to solve, or one of the biggest hurdles you've had to, being in this type of work?
Well, I gotta think about this.
Yeah, it's tough. It's interesting.
I mean, there's a lot, really. I would say an interesting thing that happened was there were like 3 weeks where I was underground working during the days for Peter Pan, and everything was black light.
Oh yeah,
And so
okay.
you're immersed in that for 2 weeks. They tell you to literally put on sunblock because the UV rays, it like does something to your
Oh,
circadian rhythm, and you can get like sunburn or something if you're around those for too long.
interesting.
But yeah, people started getting a little wacky doing the overnight shifts. People get crazy too, and like people can have psychosis and shit. That's like, am I allowed to
Yeah.
cuss on your thing? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah. You're totally fine. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I mean, we're currently doing night shift right now, and it definitely takes some adjusting too. So I can only imagine. Yeah. So you're it's funny you say that Peter's in the window.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
It's you. So you're in Peter Pan underground at night. I'm sure you're, um, I know when we were at Epic Universe, there's areas where I mean, they're not obviously purposely trying to torture you, but there's some definitely times where you're working and the same Mario dun 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 dun
Don't get
dun
me
dun
started on
dun
that
is
shit.
playing, and it's like really loud, and you're kind of like, wow. Okay, and then they're testing, so the volumes are changing, and you're like, wow, this is 8 hours of this, and like tomorrow, is this going to be the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so going back to the military, part of their torturing techniques or
Yeah.
like ways of getting information out of, when I was in Iraq, they would get these insurgents and bring them and interrogate them, and one way is to break them, which they would play. This was like 2003, so they were playing
Yeah.
really loud Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Metallica. So anyways, they would play the same song over and over and over again, really loud. So like I have that in the back of my head while I'm at Harry Potter last year.
Yeah.
And I hear the same fucking Harry Potter thing over and over again, plus beeping machinery. Beeping, beep. And then you can't really
Yeah.
like get in the zone and get your headphones on at a workplace because you're like, oh, I don't want to
Safety. Yeah.
fall off a lift or run anybody over or somebody
Mhm.
hit me. So you have to hear this Harry Potter shit. And so like even weeks after the job ended, I would wake up in the middle of the night and just hear it. It like haunted my dreams. For real. And like,
That's pretty much.
and then same for Peter Pan. There was at the very end where you get out and then like Peter's like his legs are on the crocodile's mouth,
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
and he's like, help me, Smee, help me. Don't push
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I just heard that shit over and over again. You're just like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really funny. I
That's one of the worst things.
I definitely know that some of them that were inside the Nintendo, it was like blasting because you're up there painting the bricks and the speakers are up there too, and it's just blasting the sound. And you're just like, I personally, I was in How to Train Your Dragon for like 12 to 13 months, and I like the soundtrack, so it didn't bother me too much.
Oh man.
It kind of made the aesthetic of all is there, but like, yeah, when you're talking about um, music being played over and over again, being used in Iraq as like torture, so obviously they're not intentionally doing that, and that's not what we're saying. Just sometimes some things happen and you're like, wow, this is a lot. um but so like, what should newer people know about, contracts, pay, like protecting themselves, because a lot of that is in that, like, we're talking about you're working at night, like we're asking, we get a pay upgrade, $2 an hour for working night shift, because you're working overnight, and like you said, it affects you mentally, your circadian rhythm. It's real odd trying to sleep during the daytime. You're talking about your safety being in lifts. You know, you're around all these equipment. Depending on where you're at. I don't know if you were at Peter Pan. You're doing lockout, tagout to make sure people can't operate the equipment so that they don't run you over. So like, what are some of your, number ones, like number like lookouts? Like,
I
are
mean,
you a
I'm
safe
gonna.
person or are you a Burning Man safety third kind of person?
I mean, this is. I mean, I'm. I maybe it's you're not the best person to say this to, but I
No.
just try not to do overnights.
Yeah. Okay.
First, if I
That's
can, I know it's like sometimes you need to, but even in the festival world, sometimes you get to push some late nights, but I don't know. I guess like pace yourself as much as you can because it's easy to get your nervous system, your immune system worn down. So I'm trying to electrolytes, hydrate, sleep well. I'm a big fan of power naps. Like I do a yoga nidra on Spotify, like 15-20 minute, or even if it's in my car and I just like,
okay.
if I can find a spot. This is like power naps. I also learned that in the military, just like quick, like
Out.
um, but yeah, it's really just knowing what you want to do and what you're comfortable with. Like they'll push you to see what they can get out of you, and like how long you'll go, without complaining. And you don't want to complain because everybody else is kind of doing it, but they've normalized kind of overworking your ass and
Yeah,
like
especially when you're talking about volunteers. You're talking about the safety of yourself in that kind of situation where you're not being paid. I know that a lot of festivals and a lot of, for people that might be listening to this that are trying to break into this industry, a lot of festivals specifically will offer you volunteer positions. And yes, you're not having to pay the, what is it, like 405, sometimes $600 now. Festivals have gotten very expensive. For your ticket, and that's supposed to break down to your labor costs. But yeah, when it becomes, Thursday night, Wednesday night before the pre-party, they're like, hey, like, I know we're supposed to only work 9 to 5, but we're going to start working 9 to 8, and then maybe on Thursday we're actually going to work till midnight. And you're putting in these hours, and when I've gotten to the point now, it's, you want to demand for what you're worth, and you don't want to just be taken advantage of in those situations. You just have to be careful, especially like we're talking about working in the theme park. You're here in Orlando, it gets hot.
very hot.
So you're talking about not working at night, you're talking about working during the day.
That too, man. There was people that have almost died heat stroke up on their lifts, especially if you're painting a roof, and then if you're alone up on a lift by yourself in the sun, like that could be a thing.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah, you just kind of have to know and set boundaries. Like with my boss, I was like, hey, I can do this, but I can't do that,
Yeah.
and like letting them know, like, hey, like my neck is a little messed up. I can't like hold the brush and look like this and do this kind of motion all day. That's going to mess my neck up further. So just kind of like really setting boundaries right away if you can. Like, hey, I can only work these days. I can't come in extra because I got school or life or marriage or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's been really good too because they're just going to try to squeeze you out. And then at the very end of these gigs, then it's kind of like Survivor. Like, all right, who do we not need? We're thinning out. We don't need as many people now. And then one by one, you kind of get taken out from these jobs at the theme parks. And it's
Yeah.
like kind of can get cutthroat a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then it feels like Survivor, like who's the most needed right now? And then that's weird too near ends of projects. But you also have to kind of be ready and line up another project coming up. And so you always got to be aware because this gig work, while it's fun, it can sometimes be not predictable or
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
consistent. So I recommend, we were talking about earlier, is like trying to get multiple streams of income for different jobs. So like, yes, you do theme park stuff, and maybe on the weekends you do murals or you do commission stuff, or like what I'm trying to get into now is like make a bunch of prints, which I like to go to RT Arts in Orlando. They're great.
Awesome. Cool.
And I'm gonna go. My stuff's kind of spiritual, visionary, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I would sometimes I do stuff at festivals. That's like a good space for people that are into psychedelics that maybe like looking at my work. But crystal shops, they want to sell local stuff from artists. So like, I'm like, here, take my stuff. I'm figuring out like a commission or like some sort of. I have my art in a couple different places, but like, let somebody else sell your shit for you. You know how it's like draining to bring all your. For me, vending, I don't like it. You have to bling all your shit out, set it up, talk to people all day long. I'm an introvert. I don't want to talk to people all day long.
And then you're buying the booth fee. So then, like, even if you set up, you make $400. Then you got to take out how much it costs to make all those prints to get the booth. You know, like,
it's often not worth it. You know, unless you're sharing a booth or whatever. But it's like, you know, Electric Forest. It could be $2,000 plus to have a vending booth there.
Spot. Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you get into the gallery or something, and then that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I guess for me, I don't put all of my eggs in any one basket of art because I got to be adaptable and flexible and like have some backup plans in case plan A doesn't work out. You know?
Yeah, especially like you said, the transient nature of whether you're dedicated to just festivals or dedicated to just theme parks, or if you're doing both. You know, when we were on Epic, or you're talking about, you know, Peter Pan, you're not working on Peter Pan for the next 5 years. You know, even when we were at Epic Universe, we were there for 13 months, and eventually the park needs to open. You know, or the festival. It's like you're going to build this festival, and the festival is going to happen, and then the festival's over, and then there's got to be that next thing that comes up. So I like that you were talking about diversifying, and just to even touch on that a little bit, you also own your own business, right? Producing Visionary Veterans, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so well, that is a nonprofit, but yes, we host alternative therapy retreats for veterans, and sometimes that includes art integration. I'm also a psychedelic integration coach via visionary painting classes. So I've been doing that with veterans and other artists. And I've been working with these like different medicine churches, and they actually do mushroom ceremonies or ayahuasca, and then afterwards I help people integrate through art, and that's been really rewarding.
And you do a lot of that with like veterans and people that have
Yep. So veterans with PTSD, also just artists and other people that want to tap in. For me, it's like art is kind of like a spiritual path. I was joking earlier. I think I'm married to art. Like everything revolves around art. I just have so much creative energy. It just seems natural. Like why would I resist the creativity? Like I could get a normal job, but then I'd just be like, this isn't what I know I'm supposed to be here. I'm here to create something.
Yeah.
And I'm just like constantly birthing ideas or projects or, you know, and like, it's crazy, but I know it's like if I were to be stuck in a cubicle or something, I would go insane. And I have done corporate stuff, and I just know it's not in alignment. And like, you only have 70 years in this world. Why not make your life awesome and do exactly what you want to do and explore everything? And if you fuck up, you fuck up, but at least you tried and you're not in a cubicle all day.
Yeah, I definitely took that path. And I know that at first my parents were very like, well, he'll figure it out, and then he'll, you know, align with us, you know. And then now we talk to each other, and they're like, man, you really did it. You really went for it. You did it. You stuck to it. And that's what really was, sticking to it. And, you know, touching again on like the boundaries. What kind of standards do you think that like artists should be holding for themselves for these companies? Do you personally have any kind of like gripes, or like I guess I would say like standards or things, like for example, like for me, I'm very all about making sure that I always have a contract when I'm signing some kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
Am I signing an NDA? What does the NDA say? Because obviously we're on social media right now, so like what can I post, what can I not post, especially for projects that are up and coming. Certain festivals, when I worked at Insomniac, you are not supposed to be sharing anything from EDC Las Vegas before it's open.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But like same thing with like the theme park. So, um, but also your own personal standards, like you were mentioning, of like having boundaries, not letting these companies overwork you or ask you for more things, or you know,
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, like I was mentioning earlier, I have, some health concerns that get exacerbated when I am not taking care of myself or being overworked or just tired.
mm,
And so if I'm not letting my employees know, like, hey, I'm going to need more rest maybe than everybody else because I don't want to get sick, and it's actually helping you to not have to, for me to be gone. Because there's been times where I've gone to projects and they've worked so hard and I've gotten sick. And a couple years ago, I was sick in a hotel for like 5 days,
mm,
and they had to pay for that, my hotel and stuff, while I was sick. And it's like, well, if you would have slowed down a little bit and let me rest,
yeah,
and like I'm not like a big partier after work. Like I take it very serious when I'm doing the festival stuff. And what I like about the festival stuff is it's very relaxed for the most part. You can play music and it's more fun. It's like theme parks, very corporate, very
yes,
sterile. You think it's going to be cool, and then you see the machine behind it, and you're just like, ugh.
very OSHA, very by the
Yeah.
book. Yeah.
Yeah. And then festival stuff, they depends on which one you go to. They care more about that than others. But
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I would say that that is one big thing, that there is certain festivals where I would say like Okeechobee, Electric Forest, they hold a great standard for safety when it comes to like the weather,
oh
calling
yeah,
out when there's
totally.
lightning in the area, looking out for our safety. I
Mm-hmm.
really applaud them for that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff, because there's other festivals where you're up in a 50, 60 foot boom and there's lightning over there and they're like, all right, how long is this going to take? Like,
Kind of like Elements Festival. Kind
yeah,
of.
okay,
I
yeah.
think because it wasn't funded corporately, there was just like there was some guys behind it that are personally funding it. I think maybe that's why they don't have as strict of rules.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, OSHA isn't always there, and they're not always keeping an eye. And I know personally for me, a part of the festival industry that I wasn't a big fan of is not being so much of a partier, seeing people mix partying and work.
Yes.
And like,
Yeah.
I if you smell like alcohol, I'm not going to get in the lift with you. Like that's just
Mm-hmm.
not gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can fire me,
Yeah.
It's just like I'm not gonna get thrown out of this,
You
or
don't fuck around in lifts.
yeah,
You
or
can't.
I know that you can look a lot of these things up and like search for them, but a lot of them sadly get kind of like shushed under. But there's a lot of deaths at music festivals. There's a lot of deaths at theme parks
Yeah.
from people building them, people being crushed at EDC by things falling onto them.
Uh,
Crushed this gentleman. We had this, not on our team, but an unfortunate person to fall off of a roof at Mario, broke his back. It's just,
mm,
you just really got to be aware what's going on around you,
yeah.
how safe you feel, and don't push yourself for money or to like be that guy. It's just not really worth it. You will fall, break your back, and they're going to find another person that's going to volunteer for free next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good point. I mean, you are replaceable. They don't. You feel what's great about these jobs is your ego is like, yes, look at me, what I'm doing. This is
Hmm.
cool. But you're replaceable. Your health should never waver for a job in any
Yeah.
capacity,
Or your
mentally,
morals.
physically. Yeah,
Yeah.
none of it. And so that's what I had to learn the hard way. And like nothing is worth your mental health or your physical health.
Mm.
and like festivals are cool, but like in a couple days will be over and bam, and then you're stuck with whatever decisions you made. And um, yeah, so, but I guess for me, like personal, I just have to conserve my energy these days. My energy is precious,
Mm.
is a precious resource, and I don't want to give it to a company that doesn't align with me anymore or doesn't value my time, pay me my worth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you have a
Um,
lot of experience.
got a lot of experience, and and I've learned at this point, like the move is to eventually get into a leadership role,
Hmm.
because like it's great. I liked in the initial days them telling me what to do, and didn't have to think much. I just followed the action, And now I want to be into the more designer role, like me leading a team and directing. Um, and I've been doing that in other things, but yeah, I think the move is to try to be, eventually the leader, and
So, with
yeah,
all of your wisdom and
yeah.
experience, getting to that point now, for when you started all the way back then, what type of advice for someone watching that wants to work in theme parks or festivals? What sort of advice would you give them to make their way into that sort of field?
Well, it's all who you know.
Hmm, absolutely.
And there is a bar off of Virginia Avenue that all these people, scenic artists, would go and hang out at. And I would if I can remember the name, I'd be like, go
The
there, the
hideaway.
Hideaway, the Hideaway.
We do go there sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good place to just try to meet other scenic artists. But
Yeah.
like, really, it's your friends vouching for you. Like,
Hmm.
oh, this is a good person. I've worked with them before, and it's just getting in. With the festival thing, you could even start as volunteering in the art gallery
Hmm.
and getting your way in there and just getting your foot in the door and learning who is in charge of what and working with them and building relationships, because you can't just start right away and go into like a head job. You got to kind of work your
Yeah.
way up, especially if you want any kind of street cred.
Hmm.
You got to know the people for a long time. And so like I've built relationships for years and years that helped me like get to this point. So it just starts by like it does start with volunteering maybe initially, but then like
Yeah.
and then for me, like I didn't even go to art school. My first thing that I did is I was mainly self-taught, and then I just picked the brains of different artists. So Eric De La Cruz was living in Orlando at the time, and so I asked him a bunch of questions. This also a lady, Sandra Schultz.
Mm.
She was painting really crazy stuff, and then eventually I started taking online classes, which led me to train maybe with Alex and Allison Gray, and just like I kind of bypassed some art school and just had like my own experience, my own portfolio, and I brought it to these, you know, um, different companies and kind of showed them what I had, and so I had experience and willingness. So I think the willingness to learn and to make
Mm.
mistakes is really important. You can't go in with like a super big ego, especially if you're a good commission painter. When sometimes scenic stuff, it takes a while to get it,
Mm.
and we don't all know. We have to do a sample
Yeah, yeah,
program first, so we're all figuring out behind the scenes before we teach everybody else. But like, I like going into scenic because you're getting paid to learn,
yeah,
and that's really cool. And so like I didn't do art school. I got paid to learn how to do art, which was cool. And then also in the mural stuff, themed bedrooms, got
yeah,
paid to learn how to do murals because I was sort of decent at murals at first, and
yeah,
then you're flipping, 3-4 murals a week on these projects, and you're getting fast and you're learning all kinds of different styles, which is really cool too, and getting paid for it.
yeah,
Underpaid,
absolutely.
but eventually you can ask for more. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that it's not necessarily a bad thing to volunteer. I know
Yeah.
sometimes it seems like I demonize volunteering a little bit, but it's only because of the advantage that they take.
Yes.
You
There's
know,
a limit to it.
where there's so many people willing to volunteer that it's just like, all right, let's use this group and then we'll toss them aside, use the next. They never are willing to like take the volunteer and then help up. I mean, they do. They upgrade
Hmm.
and then they pay them to create art. Um,
But I think when you get volleys that work for your crew, you kind of know who's good.
Yes,
And there's
absolutely.
always a standout person. There's always some people you're like, never work with them.
I'll pick out the good ones every time. And I'll try to make recommendations to the volunteer crew too. Like, hey, this person, if you can get them back next year, please bring them.
But yeah, if you're going to volunteer, show up. Don't like half-ass it because they're subtly watching you behind the scenes.
Always.
Like,
I'll okay.
We're watching you.
I'll tell you this really funny story, and not to call these two gentlemen out, but I was at an electric forest, and we were creating Reincarnation Village back then, and I had these two volunteers helping me work with the mulching everything down at the very end, getting everything prepped. I had these two volunteers with me, and they both had shovels, and they were like, "Hey, man, like, how did you get to be where you are?" And that's kind of what partly inspired this. I wish I started back then, but how did you get to do this? Like, you get paid to be here, like, yada yada. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I just worked hard. One day I was a volunteer like you, and I worked hard, and that somebody recognized me, and then I moved up, and then they started paying me, and I started learning more, and then I started asking for more money, and hoping that that was going to kind of inspire them a little bit. And they just, shovel, dump it, put the shovel up, stand there for a second, kind of be like, yeah, talk for a second, one shovel. And I'm like, wow. And then at one point in time, he's in this hole with the shovel, and he's doing something, bam, breaks the shovel. And I'm like, whoa, dang, man. And he was like, I knew that was going to happen. And I was like, wait, so why did you do it then? He's like, I don't know. And I was like, well, now you got to bring that back to the quartermaster and tell them that you broke it, and go get another one and come back. And it's like, that's what you're talking about. At that moment, it's like, at the end of the day, I'm going to ask the volunteer coordinator not to send me those two guys again. And that's just how it goes.
Yeah. Because, like, you got to be adaptable to all scenarios, too. Like, some days you'll be doing art. The next day you might have to do some mulch stuff.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Like, but like, can you help out with the team? When your job is done, can you jump in somewhere else and help another team finish up? Which is like what you often have to do sometimes.
Yeah, pressure wash something, clear coat, or like Bondo a bunch of stuff to prep it, Yeah, when we're at the Airbnbs, you have no idea how much sanding we do. Sanding for days.
But one of the things I like about the Airbnbs is you're indoors.
Yeah, that's nice.
You can have AC. Normally there's not a lot of other people around, and you can have music. Yeah, you can create a vibe in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bathroom situation.
All right. Well, just exactly. A little private bathroom time. All right. At the end, I've got a couple little quick little rapid fire questions for you. Okay. Interesting stuff that I thought was unique. Okay. So, what is your favorite material to work with? I know for me, I'm kind of a polygem nut.
Oh.
I like the way it smells. I like working with it. I like carving with it. We did 2 linear miles of the handrails at How to Train Your Dragon.
Wow.
So it was just polygem for 10 months. It has a very particular smell. It's like Play-Doh, like clay.
Wow, very cool. Yeah. I haven't got into that. I mean, I guess I would go, paint. I mean, I'm just
straight oil.
Well, I guess I work with acrylic more because it's fast drying. In Florida, it's good.
Yeah, especially here with the humidity. Yeah. Yeah, man, oil paint here would take forever.
It does. Yeah, I don't work with it much. Yeah.
I know. Laroon was talking about using gouache. Have you ever used that before?
Oh.
It's like a medium, an acrylic medium. Yeah, gua sha. Yeah.
No,
that's that's.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
It's kind of like that though. It's spelled really strange. I'll show you some a little bit later. I've got some. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Do you have a favorite festival?
Well, yeah, so I'm kind of cutting down on festivals myself. Okay. But the ones that I stay true to, Electric Forest is just pretty cool.
It's a great one.
It's awesome. The people behind the scenes, it's just so fun to be around a bunch of really badass artists.
Yeah.
All having fun in the forest, creating something magical together.
Yeah, Nova Han and everyone that she hires, the people that she brings there, she really does spend time sorting out some good folks.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm so proud to be part of that team every year. I'm like, wow, look at what we did. This is so cool.
Yeah.
I would say that one's my favorite.
Yeah, that's definitely one of mine for sure. I really love that place. All right, you're a painter. Do you have a favorite tool, favorite style of brush, type of brush?
Well, Instagram, they got me with the advertisements.
Oh, okay.
So, the zebra paint kits, they have like all
Yeah.
these really interesting shaped brushes to get in the corners and the cracks and
Really?
yeah, and they're really
You
cool.
mean like the ones that were like dimensional, where it's like a triangle, but it's a 3-dimensional
Yeah.
triangle? Really? Okay.
Yep. And so those are really cool. Those are fun to work with. Um, yeah, I don't know. Lately, I have an abundance of ayahuasca vine that I cut down.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I'm looking for ways to make art with that. And I really want to move into being my own boss and creating installations, but maybe more with my friend Lewis. He is born 22 hours after me. So we have a very similar birth alignment.
Whoa.
So we get along really well and we have very similar ideas. So we're like, well, let's create interactive, intentional meditation or healing spaces. So we want to do like giant altars that you can sit in and maybe, have some frequency healing and things like that. So I want to move into more like foraged altar art, maybe
Okay.
three-dimensional stuff more than painting. Like painting's fun, but I want to move into using crystals. I've been collecting feathers for like 10 years. I got all kinds of feathers and mushrooms I dehydrated and crystals and
Really?
just cool stuff that I want to make like a giant intentional altar with.
We should talk about that.
Let's do that.
That's cool. That sounds incredible.
All right.
I'd love to help you.
Down. Gotta change it up every once in a while,
So that kind of just steamrolls that you kind of just like hit both questions in one. So is that your dream project?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to do window art too and work with the film that makes like rainbow fractals when you look through the sunlight.
Oh yeah, and it creates like the rainbow in the room.
Yes, it's like how can I make art out of that kind of stuff and like work with sunlight and using the elements and like I love a good prism. Like, there's a rainbow fractal somewhere.
Yeah.
There's the opposite of triggers. Everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
We might have talked about this, but there's a thing called a glimmer.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite with things that bring you a lot of joy.
Okay. Yeah. Instead of being triggered like an emotional response that's negative, this is more something
like
positive, uplifting.
Yeah. So like for me, a good rainbow prism. Today I also saw a hummingbird, just a rainbow in the sky.
Yeah.
Things like that. So like I want to do more things that give me glimmers, like art glimmer experience. Because like also people want an experience, and also can we bring in like natural plants and like smells? Like I work with copal and work with sacred resins and stuff, and like really can you imagine going to a festival? You're around 60,000 people, and their energy is all intertangling, and like who has good energy? We don't know. You're absorbing other people's energies in your auric field. So like going to a space where you can meditate and actually cleanse your energy using not sage, but like copal or like even resins that you harvest yourself. So you're not like over harvesting anything.
Yeah, you're taking what is the Main Street popcorn or E.T. the scent, in the Rhine cube, but using that in a metaphysical / physical way to help people as well.
Yeah, because people don't know they need it.
It's true
when they're there.
Know?
Everybody's tripping on something. So your auric fields are just like open, and you're getting everything in, and vice versa, and you're just exchanging all this energy, and like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes they're not the safest environments to open up your energetic fields around.
All right. Well, where is some great safe places that people can find you so that they can open their energetic field, find ways to heal themselves through art, get inspired? How can people find you, reach out to you?
All right. So you can find me on Instagram, Veronika Rose Art, and it's Veronika with a K, not a C.
Yeah.
Not no C or C. Can't. Yeah. And veronikaroseart.com. I have a couple events coming up in May. We're actually doing a women's artisan retreat in Oklahoma at this medicine church. We're serving mushrooms and we're painting.
Cool.
So it's going to be a pretty cool experience. And then I also, I got a couple events coming up. So I'm going to be doing some online visionary art integration courses too. So people can study with me there, or just reach out if you want to learn some one-on-one stuff. So
awesome. Perfect. Well, you guys know where to reach out, and thanks so much. Cool. Thanks, Veron.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Got off on some tangents there.
That was expected. Yeah, for sure. Always, you know.
Hopefully it recorded, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it did. I mean, because yeah, 45 minutes.